The course of the conflict in Ukraine could change significantly, following decisions by Germany and the USA to supply battle tanks to Ukrainian forces. President Zelensky says that the heavy weaponry will be crucial in the drive. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz had been under growing pressure to agree the deal. He was reflecting the deep misgivings among many Germans. Well, Germany will make available 14 of these Leopard 2 tanks, and they'll be giving partner countries permission to export the very same model of German tank to Kyiv. And Washington is set to deliver a significant number of these, the Abrams tanks, to Ukraine. President Biden says it shouldn't be seen as an offensive threat to Russia, but Russia's ambassador in Washington has warned that any deliveries of US tanks will be, in his words, a blatant provocation. Our Europe editor Katya Adler has this report.
Almost a full year of hell, destruction, devastation, cruel deaths and despair in Ukraine. The most serious armed conflict in Europe since the Second World War. An attempt by Russia to upend a sense of security across the continent. But today saw an offer of help Kyiv has long been crying out for.
Wir werden der Ukraine.
We will now be sending our Leopard 2 battle tanks to Ukraine. We are doing this after intense discussion with our international partners and allies. It was right not to hurry this decision.
Actually, Mr. Scholz's allies had fast been losing patience. Lots of European countries own these German-produced tanks. They're stable and reliable. But Berlin has all the export rights, so countries like Poland, desperate to send this powerful help to Ukraine, couldn't as long as Germany dithered. Now Kyiv could eventually receive dozens of tanks, though its soldiers first need to be trained how to use them. Public pressure at home as well as abroad also heavily influenced Chancellor Scholz. Being Prime Minister of Germany is a tricky balancing act. Modern and cool, Berlin has another face too. City of Ghosts. Reminders of Germany's dark past are everywhere here. It's Holocaust Memorial Day on Friday, and German politicians they shouldn't forget. As the aggressor in 2 world wars, the idea of German-made tanks rolling into parts of Europe where German soldiers once committed so many atrocities make many here feel extremely uncomfortable.
What Russia is doing now in Ukraine is awful. But sending in German tanks, with our history, it's a terrible idea.
I grew up in post-war Germany. It was right to think long and hard before sending tanks, but now I'm glad we're doing it.
I have a very bad feeling about all this. I'm scared how Putin will react.
Also wary of Moscow, Chancellor Scholz was keen for the US to send some of its mighty Abrams tanks to Ukraine too. This evening, as if on pre-agreed cue, President Biden promised 31 vehicles for Kyiv.
Putin expected Europe and the United States to weaken our resolve. He expected our support for Ukraine to crumble with time. He was wrong. He was wrong. And he was wrong from the beginning, and he continues to be wrong. We are united.
Washington's announcement and Berlin's U-turn are a wish come true for Ukraine's president, who turned 45 today.
The key now is speed and volume. We have to form a fist of tanks, a fist of freedom, which will not allow tyranny to rise again.
These Soviet-era tanks are on permanent display in the German capital. During the Cold War, the threat of nuclear attack was ever present. Tonight, while many celebrate Olaf Scholz's decision on tanks, others, including powerful voices in his own party, warn this conflict could now escalate, threatening lives beyond Ukraine. Katya Adler, BBC News, Berlin.
Well, in Ukraine, the long-awaited news of the tank supplies has been greeted with relief and with gratitude. President Zelensky has been saying for weeks that defeating the Russians would be extremely difficult without a significant supply of tanks and heavy weaponry. Our correspondent Andrew Harding has been talking to people in the city of Zaporizhia, not far from the front line.
Ukrainian tanks, half a century old, battling near the front lines. In this area, close to the Donbass town of Bakhmut, Russian forces are slowly gaining ground. And when we visited this tank unit last week, the mood seemed close to despair.
Both sides have heavy losses, but we need more equipment, we need more weapons. We appreciate the support of our partners, Britain, USA and European.
No surprise then today to find many Ukrainians celebrating the news that modern Western tanks will soon be on their way here. At a bus stop in the frontline city of Zaporizhia, Vasily tells me Russia has better weapons than we do, so this is good news. A pensioner called Victoria isn't so sure. You start with tanks, she says, but then it escalates. I'm afraid this will end in a nuclear war. But when another woman, Elena, overhears that, she comes over to disagree. We need any weapons from any countries to help us kick the Russians out of here and protect our borders. Moscow's forces are not far away from here. On the road towards the front line, we pass tank traps, ready to help block any new Russian advance. Both the Ukrainians and the Russians have made it pretty clear that they are planning to launch major new offensives, perhaps within a matter of weeks. The question now is whether these new Western tanks are going to arrive soon enough and in large enough numbers to make a real difference in this next phase of the conflict. For now, Ukraine continues to fight with what it has. And a senior officer who agreed to meet us close to the front said victory was certain, with or without foreign help.
The Russians keep attacking us in human waves and suffer enormous casualties. I believe we can withstand this. It's just a matter of time before we win.
Ukrainian tanks charge forwards, but it may still be a while before modern Western machines are fighting alongside them. Andrew Harding, BBC News, Ukraine.